dozens and dozens of boosters of experience, launching many times, well past 5 flights and things like that. But they have a lot of experience already, and they make these little changes to these boosters to make them more easily reusable, and not just like in the money that you need to be able to turn them around, but also the kind of work. The less work that you need to do on them, the better, because that means you can just roll them out and ready to go.
Heck, I mean, even unfortunately bringing up 1058 again, like they were saying that newer boosters have better stabilization for once they're on the drone ship. It's those small little things that on the new ones that should hopefully make it super quick and easy to turn them around and fly them dozens of times.
Sometimes we get asked things like, why do they still fly with new boosters on crew missions if they are, they are allowed to use reusable boosters? And it's like, well, when you ask to NASA, like, why is it that you do this? They say, well, you know why? Even though it's a new booster and probably a reused booster has more experience, this new booster has all of the previous experience of many previous boosters on them. And so all of that data has been fed to make this booster in particular. So even new boosters are even more reliable now than they probably were like 2 or 3 years ago, just because they have all of this experience to make them even safer.
Good afternoon, 5:01 here at WDBO. You know what that means? It's time to get on the WDBO payroll payout right now. Open up that WDBO app, tap the payroll payout button inside, and enter the word
26.
WANT, 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 right now for your chance at winning $1,000. Download the WDBO app to your phone, tap the payroll payout button inside of the app, and enter the word WANT, WANT, for your chance at winning $1,000 right now.
How long they
Our
stay
top
up
story,
there?
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was acquitted of both articles of impeachment today in what was a one-day Senate trial. House Republicans impeached Mayorkas because they say he failed to secure the southern border.
But some of
the
them
Democrats called the impeachment a political stunt and vowed to make quick work of it in the Senate.
So
Before the vote,
it just
Republican
depends.
Senate
But
leader
the
Mitch
vast
McConnell said
majority
Democrats
of
would
the
regret the
early
speedy
Starlink
trial.
satellites are still up there.
Must not be
Like from
abused,
2020, 2021, and things like that, they are still up there.
History will not judge this moment.
There we go.
Well.
And
a major
along those
recall
lines,
from
98
Ford.
Central
Here's
asking,
ABC's Mike
are there
Dubusky.
any
More than
direct-to-cell Starlink
450,000
satellites
Ford
on
Bronco
this
Sports
mission?
and
Because you're
Ford
talking about the
Mavericks are
older
being
ones are still
recalled.
up there.
Documents
Some of
filed
them
with the National Highway Traffic Safety
missing some of
Administration
the
find it's due to an issue with the
capabilities that
compact truck's
even the V2
powertrain
minis have.
control unit, which could fail to detect
Nope.
changes in
You
the
should
battery's
look out
charge,
for Group
which
8
if low,
missions,
could cause
which,
a loss
again,
in
they're
power.
going to be beginning here from
Ford says
from
the
the Cape
software
real
update
soon.
in the
Those are going to
fix
be the ones
should
carrying
fix the issue should
direct to
arrive
cell.
later in
It
the
seems
quarter.
like they're
Remember to
sort of
enter the
mixing
word
them
WANT,
with regular
WANT,
Starlink V2 mini
WANT,
satellites.
right
They're
now under the
different. People
payroll
think
payout
that
button in the
like
WDBO
direct
app
to
for your
cell is
chance
just
at winning
the normal
$1,000.
satellite, and they just
502 here at
put the
WDBO.
LTE antenna, things like that. As far as I'm aware, they're just like same bus but different satellites. So they are not Starlink V2 mini satellites. They're just Starlink direct to cell. That's like the key difference. And there you can see a satellite. I don't know if that's a DTC, direct to cell, or a regular Starlink satellite, but there you can see a view from orbit of one of the Starlink satellites. It's definitely a V2 version, like the kind of shape and the solar panels and everything are the same. That is probably the same on direct to cell, just that it doesn't have the same kind of antennas and things like that.
I just got distracted by what looks like the solar eclipse beneath it, but yeah, that is also the satellite there too. Let's see here. Max, question that goes to you. Do we know when the next Falcon Heavy launch is, or when they might try and recover the center stage?
Nice segue.
Oh, Lord.
So the next Falcon Heavy mission is scheduled for the second half of June of this year. It is for the GOES-U mission for NOAA. So that will be taken off, of course, from LC-39A. And if I'm not mistaken, either this Starlink mission or the next, or the one on Monday, I should say, will be the last from this pad until Falcon Heavy and GOES-U are ready to fly. I don't remember the exact date in my head when in June that is right now. I think that's like the 17th or something around that time. Is that correct, Alex?
25th, if I remember correctly.
25th. Okay. So around the last week of June. But yeah, we have, I think, 1 or 2 more Starlink missions from this pet until then. And then hopefully, that one should be spectacular as well, because we haven't had a Falcon Heavy launching in like decent light to be seen, I think, since honestly Arabsat way back in 2019. Of course, USSF 44, the one that was completely fogged out. We never saw that one.
I was gonna say, yeah,
never saw that one, and then everything else following, with the exception of Psyche, was either flown at sunset or just or at night. Psyche, of course, flew in the day, but it was a very cloudy day and very gray, and not the most photogenic, one could say. So this one launching in the afternoon in June with hopefully some good weather, that would prove to be one of the most spectacular missions to actually see with your own eyes in quite some time. So I'm definitely excited for that one.
Oh yeah, that one's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Finally, a daylight one, and it's a really significant payload. I mean, GOES R and S and T, all of them, they have brought us amazing information.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Got that multi-vehicle crash I-4 westbound before Ivanhoe. We also have a broken down vehicle on the ramp from Fairbanks to I-4 eastbound, and that ramp is still closed. ProTech Air Conditioning and Plumbing Service for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech 407-502-6263 or visit protechac.com. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Local news, national news, even feel-good news, delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Okay, let's get to the important stuff first. Did you guys see the fish that I caught yesterday after the show? That was pretty cool, right? Laurel, did you see my fish?
I did.
So I always keep a fishing rod in the trunk of my car, and I keep crankbait on the line to my fishing rod. And then when the weather's really nice, and these last couple nights we get off the air, I mean, it's just the evenings have been so beautiful. So for the last 2 nights, I've stopped and dipped my fishing rod into the water. And I was not successful the night before, but last night I caught 3 fish in a tiny little pond that is right behind the Ocoee Police Department. I'd never fished there before, and I thought, I'll just pull up here, and I started fishing and caught, I think it was 2 bass. I'm honestly not sure what the third fish is. Some people in the comment section say it's a crappie or a sprek. I'm not sure what it is. But it was a pretty good sized bass. Evidently I need to buy a scale so I can see how big, because I think that was my personal best bass, but I haven't the foggiest idea how big it was. Okay, second important item. Is anybody else suffering from seasonal allergies right now? Just terrible, terrible seasonal allergies? Man, I don't want to say I almost called out today, but for a brief moment, it entered my mind of, man, going to work is going to be a chore today. My seasonal allergies are killing me. And honestly, my allergies really have not bothered me a whole lot living in Florida. I did allergy testing once, and I'm allergic to grass of all things. And living in the plain states, when you live in Oklahoma and Texas like that, I mean, that's all there is grass everywhere. But here in Florida, I've never really had a problem with allergies until these last couple of years. And I was late taking Claritin. I just started Claritin 2 weeks ago, and it's just not helping me. So I decided, you know how they say you go to the pharmacy and you talk to the pharmacist? That's what I did today. I went to the CVS and I said, hey, I'd like to talk to the pharmacist. And I said, I've been taking Claritin for 2 weeks and it's really not helping me. Can I add Zyrtec to the Claritin? And can I take both at the same time? And she said, no, don't take both. But she effectively switched me to Zyrtec and Flonase, the nasal spray. So I just started both of those today, and I'll let you know how that goes. But if you suffer from allergies and you've got a pretty good routine, I would love to be able to share that with the rest of our listeners who also suffer from allergies. And you can do that by either calling us at 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app. I would love to be able to share what works with our listeners and, frankly, with me.
Good afternoon. Is there a fire somewhere? I'm on the 408. It's very hazy.
Yeah, and we've had that all day, and I think that's probably contributing to some people's allergies. It has been, for the second straight day, it has been very, very smoky today across Central Florida, and I put the radar scan up on the WDBO Facebook page, where you'll also find our video chat if you want to be able to see what we look like behind the scenes. We live video stream the Joe Kelley Show every day on the WDBO Facebook page. But as you look at the weather radar scan, you will see that there are multiple controlled burns out east of Orlando, and the breeze is coming in off the Atlantic. So the breeze is pushing to the west, which means it's pushing all that smoke here towards the Orlando area. So yes, we have a lot of smoke right now, and it is because of the controlled burns. There was a fire earlier at Ocoee High School. As I was driving in today, in fact, I saw the news helicopters circling in Ocoee, and I thought, I wonder what's going on over there, and should I launch my drone? Should I go see? And I thought, what if it's a manhunt? I really don't want to go over there if it's a manhunt. Come to find out, it was a fire at Ocoee High School. Moms and dads, you probably already know it by now, but your kids will come home or are coming home with a certainly an interesting story to tell today. Evidently, a garbage can, a waste paper basket, a trash can in an upstairs bathroom caught on fire. Gosh, I can't imagine the shenanigans that must have happened to cause a garbage can to catch on fire in a bathroom.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yes, I'm sure.
Out of nowhere.
I'm sure there weren't some teenagers that caused that to happen. So they evacuated the school. Nobody was hurt. You'll be glad to know. But there was some excitement out at Ocoee High School earlier today. And we're also keeping a close eye. If you're watching on our video stream right now on the WDBO Facebook page, you'll see that we've got the feed there from Cape Canaveral as we are monitoring
to get up
a launch that's going to take place.
Low thrust, but very efficient.
Yeah,
but again, low thrust, right?
We're listening in right now to the launch preparations. There's a launch coming up at 5:26 p.m. This is a Falcon 9 SpaceX launch. It is, again, pretty smoky outside. I don't know that we're going to be able to see it from Orlando, quite frankly, because of the smoke. But not for this smoke. I feel quite confident that we'd be able to see it because it's not cloudy today. But it is very, very smoky. This particular launch, they're going to land the first stage booster on a barge out in the Atlantic. So don't expect a sonic boom as that makes its way back towards Florida, because it's not coming back to Florida. It's going out to a barge out in the Atlantic. But you'll be able to hear that launch live when it happens, if it happens, and it probably will, at 5:26 p.m. here on the Joe Kelley Show. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to be out at Wekiva Island. Wekiva Island? I don't know why that suddenly sounds weird in my head. Wekiva Island. We'll be out there tomorrow. Joe on the go. I'll be out there broadcasting live from 5 till 7 tomorrow afternoon. And then at 6 o'clock, Eric Erickson. If you listen to the Eric Erickson show today, Eric is in Jacksonville today. He's going to be broadcasting from the WDBO studios tomorrow and Friday. And he's going to be joining us for Pints and Politics tomorrow night at Wekiva Island at 6 p.m. I want to thank a couple of you guys. I mentioned last night just offhand that my wife and my dog were going to be joining me, and a couple of you alerted me to the fact that they don't allow dogs out there anymore. And thank you for that. I was unaware that they had changed the policy on dogs out at Wekiva Island. Frankly, I think the dogs are better behaved than some of the people at times out there at Wekiva Island, after people have been overserved, if you will. But sorry about the sniff. It's just my allergies are killing me. Anyhow, we're going to be out there tomorrow. Eric Erickson's going to be there. You'll have a chance to meet him. He's a cool dude, and I know you'll like it. It's completely free to get in. It's free to park. And if you were one of the lucky people to sign up for our VIP party, There's even, I think, a free beer involved with it. For everybody else, I think you have to pay whatever they charge at the bar if you want a beer. There, have I covered all of the? And then, Laurel, did we do the keyword for the 5 o'clock? Did we do that already?
We did, yes.
And it's too late now for people to text in anyway?
Yeah, I mean, they have 30 seconds. So.
And what was the word?
Want, W-A-N-T.
Got
Want.
it. So you only have 30 seconds left to do that. Coming up next here, we're going to take this break a little bit early because we're trying to fit in the launch on time. So coming up, we'll have all the stories that you missed while you're at work today. Some of them just happened a few minutes ago. So we'll have that for you coming up in a moment. So stay with us here. You're listening to The Joe Kelley Show with that launch on the way at 5:26.
Now, from the Bogan Munz and Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz and Munz.
Well, we'll start off with a crash on Colonial westbound at Lake Pickett Road. Looks like they have a right lane block there. That's causing a little bit of a bunch up. Going into Volusia County and I-4 eastbound, it starts to get heavy just about at Lake Mary Boulevard all the way to the bridge. Westbound is slow also through Lake Mary. And then as you make your way into downtown from Parr onto the 408 eastbound, and from that point, 408 eastbound, you're on and off the brakes all the way to 436. This report sponsored by Fresh from Florida. From pancakes to smoothies, almost everything is better with Florida blueberries. In season now, look for Fresh from Florida blueberries at your local grocery store. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Severe weather expected to hit much of the Midwest today. There's a risk of tornadoes in the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, as well as the lower Great Lakes area. A Seminole County deputy recovering following a crash on I-4 earlier this morning. The Florida Highway Patrol says the deputy was standing next to his patrol vehicle for a lane closure when he was hit by another car along the interstate in Sanford. Troopers believe a medical issue may have caused the driver to lose control before the crash. A man synonymous with Florida politics for decades has passed away. Former Democratic state representative, state senator, governor, and U.S. Senator Bob Graham died yesterday at the age of 87. Oh, nice, Karen. You did it with seconds to spare. You literally only have 15 till 15 after to do it. So if I do it at 5, you only have until 5:15 to do it. If I do it at 2, you only have until 2:15 to get it in. So good job. Frank, you shouldn't lose hope. I had a winner yesterday. In fact, I was first in the cluster, first in Orlando. I got a winner, my noon winner. Whoop, whoop. So, I mean, don't give up. We get winners. Well, that's a nice way to look at it, I suppose, Frank. That's nice. You're a good boy, Frank. That's nice. Speaking of the fire at that school, my daughter tells me every day she walks into the bathrooms and it's smoky in there. Every day. It's because kids are either smoking or now they all vape, right?
I was going to say, I think it's probably all of them vaping, right?
Yeah, every day she walks in and she has to hold her breath because everybody's in there vaping. And I'm just like, girl, don't. And they're 15 years old and they say it helps with stress. I'm like, what stress do you have? I don't tell her that because you don't want to diminish her. I know. Being 15 can be hard, but I'm like, really vaping? That's okay. Okay, 15-year-olds, but oh, kids.
Because stress is cool.
Yeah.
And smoking makes me even cooler.
Right? It's been the same advertisements for decades, right?
Forever. What's the Joe Camel of Gen Zers? I don't know. What's the
I don't
Joe
know
Cool
either.
Joe Camel of Gen Zers? Or the Marlboro Man?
Right? I'm sure there's one. And unfortunately, the teachers did nothing about it. Well, and they, she said, even the girl behind me on the bus vapes and it bothers me. And I'm like, I get it. It bothered me too. But, and as a parent, you first want to think, well, why don't the bus drivers stop it? Why don't the teachers stop it? And then you remember that schools can't even keep teachers and bus drivers on the payroll. They're flipping over so fast. So it's a stinky situation all around.
My least favorite thing is walking through a cloud of someone strawberry, kiwi scented, whatever. It's disgusting. I hate it. I hate it so much. When I worked at Walgreens, we had problems with people coming in and sitting in the waiting area for the pharmacy, or at the time we had the clinic in the area as well. And it's like a little cloud would form over there. Like I would kick people out. I was like, you can't do that in here. You understand that is still smoking, right?
And that's what I think that's the problem, is they don't relate it, because over one of the weekends, my sister had a friend over to my parents' house and he pulled out his vape and puffed. And my sister immediately turned to him and said, do not do that in here. But I think it's so second nature to them sometimes. They don't think of it as it's smoking. They think of it as, I just need to puff at this real quick.
I've had to tell my people getting into my car, like, that does not go on in my car. Sorry.
No, absolutely not. No. And that's what I'm trying to explain to my kid. Still bad, still not good for your lungs,
With the WDBO payroll payout. Your next chance at $1,000 happens tomorrow at 8 a.m. Listen for the keyword and then tap the payroll payout button in the WDBO app. It's our way of saying thank you for 100 incredible years.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
Do you have fishing license? Sure hate to see you get a ticket again in Winter Garden.
Man, me too. Do I have a fishing license? Yes, I have a fishing license. I have a freshwater fishing license in the state of Florida, and it automatically renews every year. So yes, several people ask me that, by the way, if I have a fishing license. And yes, of course, I have a fishing license. I will say that I object to having a fishing license. Particularly for those of us who catch and release. It just seems a government intrusion that is unnecessary, but it is what it is. And yeah, I don't want to get a ticket. So yes, I have my freshwater fishing license for the state of Florida.
Stepping out of the office elevator and enter today's top stories. Here's what you missed while you were at work.
So we heard a lot about this one today with Brian Kilmeade and with Eric Erickson. The NPR whistleblower Yuri Berlinger resigns after he was suspended without pay for 5 days. He resigns now, saying, I cannot work in a newsroom where I am disparaged. It's kind of funny, Laurel. We work in we're disparaged all the time, right? I don't have any problems with that. It's usually the listeners, but I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah, very much so.
The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration issued a ground stop advisory for all Alaskan Airlines mainline and subcarrier flights, and that flights for SkyWest, which provided regional service for Alaskan Airlines and others, were excluded. House Speaker Mike Johnson moves ahead with a plan to put Ukraine aid up for a vote despite intense pressure from GOP hardliners. And by hardliners, he means Marjorie Taylor Greene for the most part. Greg, I thought this was interesting. The NBA today issues a lifetime ban to Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter for betting on basketball games. When are players going to learn that you cannot bet on sports, any sports at all, but particularly the sports you play?
Especially if you're betting on your team to lose, like he reportedly was.
Yeah, that's bad. That is very, very bad. And man, a lifetime ban. I mean, there's no coming back from that. Could he go play in a European league or something?
Sure, but I'm assuming that they would have to approve him coming into the league, and the NBA's got some pretty good pull around the world for that. So
the Senate dismisses both impeachment articles against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, deeming them, quote, unconstitutional, effectively dispensing of the 2 charges against Mayorkas. We're so glad they spent so much time working on that in the United States House of Representatives. It's 5:24 here on the Joe Kelley Show. We're monitoring the Space Coast at this hour as we are getting ready for a launch of a Falcon 9 rocket that is going to be sending another load of Starlink internet satellites. We can listen in now. We are
from liftoff.
We are about 90 seconds away.
The usual water tower vent that people are always concerned about.
Yes, really clear skies out at the coast, because the coast is on the other side of the controlled burns. So it's not hazy out there at the Space Coast.
Falcon 9 enters startup. That's when all of the onboard computers take control of the countdown.
Now, you'd mentioned
this
was going to land on a barge in the Atlantic, correct?
It is. This is going to land on the Gravitas, shortfall of Gravitas.
I wonder how they make that decision between it landing on the barge or coming back to the mainland.
I'm glad you asked, Greg. It has to do with the trajectory of the launch. If it has a trajectory that takes it way out over the Atlantic, then they're gonna land it on a barge. If it has a trajectory that takes it straight up, then they're going to land it back in Florida. We're T-minus 30 seconds.
We hit T-minus 30 seconds here.
You can step outside and look east.
3 miles away, so there will be a slight delay from when it launches to when you will actually hear the liftoff itself. And we'll make sure you're able to hear that.
And look for the engines. This is the best path for that.
Oh, yes. Keep an eye out for the rainbirds, which is the water deluge. Keep an eye out for a green flash, which will be the T-tab igniting the engines.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
And there's ignition. And liftoff of Starlink 6-51. Go Internet Satellites V2. Go.
It has cleared the tower. I hope you're able to see it now. Again, it's rather hazy, smoky outside, so you may not be able to see it. We will stay with the launch. Typically, it takes 8 minutes for the first stage booster to land. This will be landing on the drone ship out of the Atlantic.
Talking to Supersonic.
The drone ship it's going to land on is actually just read the instructions.
Gorgeous crackle on that one. You can see with that trail there, meaning vehicles passing through max Q. That's maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle.
There are 23 Starlink internet satellites on board.
Higher up into the atmosphere where it's thinner.
Look at that.
There are 5,800 Starlink satellites in
one of
orbit.
The things that I'm not, I said before, people in the Northeast are probably missing the Northeast launches. I'm not missing them because we have these sideways views of the rocket, which only happen on Southeast trajectories.
So that's what he's getting at with the trajectories there, Greg, as to whether or not it's going to land on a barge.
Who is downrange in Cocoa, getting this view for us. So a shout out to them as well. Look at that. Again, the side-on view.
You can see the slight dogleg that the rocket needs to do.
It's so cool.
It truly looks like it's flying horizontally.
Away from 3 events in rapid succession.
It doesn't look like it's ascending, though it is.
Cut off when the 9 Merlin 1T engines shut down, followed by first and second stage separation, and then followed after that by the ignition of the Merlin vacuum engine, what's known as SES-1, second engine start 1. Amazing work there from WD-40.
Main engine cutoff. Stage separation.
And now we're just keeping an eye for that separation and the second stage ignition.
First stage
there we
booster
go.
is separated.
You can see it from SpaceX's cameras there. Everything looking good. And now that first stage is going to work its way so that it goes back to just read the instructions located downrange. Which we promise the location is within the range of Falcon 9, despite what it says on screen there. And that's B-1077 on its 12th flight. This is the 309th Falcon recovery attempt once it does go to land there.
We're at T plus 3.5 minutes.
I mean, the views going uphill for that, at least, were absolutely stunning. And again, Dr. WD40 on Twitch is so kind enough to get us those extra views. In addition to our tracking cam, in addition to Max and D, we're trying to get the SpaceX feedback. It appears to be down at the moment.
It appears right now they are having some troubles there. This time it's not our fault.
Correct. This is a SpaceX issue with it, so as soon as they get the problem worked out, we will be able to bring you those views as well. In the meantime, though...
You're listening to the commentary there from Spaceflight Now.
See if we have Max back to give us a little update there from the field.
I'll tell you what, let's do. Laurel, why don't we get into a newscast? It's right at 5:30, and we're not going to be able to see this thing land either, and we won't have the audio from the land. So it's 5:30 now at WDBO.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
Good afternoon. 5:31 here at WDBO. Your next chance to win the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000 happens tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Just listen for that keyword and you could get paid just for listening to WDBO. Our top story, the Senate has vowed to reject the 2 articles of impeachment targeting Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The Senate trial ended before it even began, with votes to deem the 2 articles of impeachment sent over by the House unconstitutional. With the 51-member Democratic majority voting as a bloc, the Senate ruled that the charges did not meet the definition of high crimes and misdemeanors. Republicans fiercely objected, saying Alejandro Mayorkas lied to Congress about his efforts to enforce immigration law. But Democrats said the fight amounted to a mere policy dispute and didn't justify a trial.
A fake priest wanted for allegedly stealing from several churches across the U.S. has been arrested in California.
Malin Rostas had been on the run for over 1 year. He's accused of ripping off houses of worship on both coasts from Pennsylvania to Los Angeles. Rostas is well known in Texas, where he allegedly went by Father Martin and was able to gain access to churches in Dallas and Houston. That's where he was caught on security camera, which also spotted a license plate. At times, a New York native allegedly would wear a toupee and swipe cash from donation boxes. I'm Michael Kastner.
Join us tomorrow at Wekiva Island for Pints and Politics, hosted by Eric Erickson. The event is free and open to everyone. Tap that Pints and Politics button at the WDBO app for event details. 5:33 here at WDBO. Between Frank's puns and your jokes, Marie, how can we not smile during this show, huh?
Greg, did you see this breaking news? UCF quarterback KJ Jefferson turns himself in on reckless driving charge in Arkansas. Yeah, I don't hear you if you're talking to me.
I had not seen that, no.
It just popped up. Just as I was talking to you, it had just popped up. Orlando Sentinel.
It says he was arrested on Wednesday.
And he turned himself in on reckless driving in
213.
in Arkansas.
Taken into custody at 213. Common misdemeanor. Oh, my. Looks like it happened back in May.
I guess he was told to report, and he reported. He turned himself in. So that was in Arkansas.
Interesting.
You said it happened in May of last year?
Yes. According to head coach Gus Malzahn, I have been fully aware of the situation that took place in May 2023 prior to his arrival at UCF. Since KJ has been here, he's been a great leader and an exemplary member of our program.
Of course he has.
Right. Interesting.
Not going to do anything else to mess your life up. Sounds like he's trying for parole. Ever since he's been incarcerated, he's been a really good man. I've been studying the Bible and learning to be, yeah, exactly. He should be let out on parole.
Getting arrested and thrown in jail has really turned my life around.
Yeah. Really, I awake now.
I understand the seriousness of my actions and promise to never do them again. And then immediately do them again.
Devote my life to... I led the Bible study in the prison, and
right now, of course, there are people that do turn themselves around, but it is enjoyable to joke.
Absolutely, but it's like a common thing to say now.
Yep, nope, you're absolutely right, Murray. Driving 100 in a 70-mile-per-hour speed zone on an Arkansas interstate. To be fair, I've done 100 on an Arkansas interstate. Well, not an Arkansas interstate, but...
Why did it take a year, though?
Yeah, that's the part that's kind of throwing me still. Looks like charges weren't pursued until January, I'm seeing from a UCF source.
There has to have been something else involved there. I don't know. I mean, black and white. He did 100 miles an hour. Are you going to charge him or not? You
right.
Wait that long for something else that's going on.
WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Got a brand new crash now. I-4 westbound right before World Drive. The exit ramp right lane is partially blocked there in that commute. That's, of course, as you're making your way past all the attractions there through Champions Gate. and then up toward 535. So just have some patience there. Westbound is also heavy, so if you look the other side of the roadway, you're going to see it jacked up here from Sand Lake down to 535, and then from Osceola Parkway all the way through Champions Gate. This report sponsored by Discover. Discover wants everyone to feel special with live 24/7 customer service. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. In-depth segments on topics that matter to Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
I love your show every night. You're doing great, bud.
Hey, everybody. So thanks for letting us know that the rocket was going off, because I'm on I-4 headed west in downtown, and I could see the trail. I saw it go up, so that was fun. It is hazy, though. Have a great day. See ya.
Headed west. Maybe you're heading east. It'd be tough to see if you're heading west, unless you're looking in the rearview mirror.
Listening to you through Alexa, you must be at least 15 seconds behind.
Oh, yeah.
What actually happened, because I was watching the trail go up long before they said it was time to launch. And I'm out here in Winter Haven.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Back in the day when radio was just radio, I mean, everything was instantaneous. The words that I would be saying at this second would be on the radio at the exact same second. I really no longer listen to terrestrial radio signals anymore. Every radio station I listen to the streams. And I will tell you that I used to get agitated because I would be listening, say, to WDBO, and I would hear a news anchor like Laurel say, it's 2:00, and I would look at my clock and it would say 2:02. And I'm like, why is she getting into the news late? And why is she giving the wrong time? And then, of course, I realized, nope, it's just delayed by 2 minutes. I mean, depending on how you're listening to WDBO, there could be a delay up to 2 minutes or longer. If you're streaming through Alexa or for Google or through Siri or through any of the apps of TuneIn, the Odyssey app, I mean, the device I stream from is the WDBO app. Every day when I get in my car, the first thing I do is I open up my WDBO app and I hit play. And it is typically about 2 minutes behind schedule. You guys find the exact same? Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you're listening on terrestrial radio, we're 40 seconds behind. That's why I have to do math every time I give the time here, because I know we're 20 to 40 seconds behind when I hit your car radios. So
right, so we do run on a delay in case someone cusses, in case something gets out that's not supposed to be. Honestly, the most times we will use the delay is if there's dead air, and I'll give you an example. Today, Eric Erickson was doing a show from Jacksonville. He's in Florida, and there were a couple of technical issues today coming out of Jacksonville that gave us dead air. And by using the delay, we're able to eliminate the dead air. So from a listener perspective, you didn't hear near as much dead air as there actually was. I can't remember the last time we used a delay because someone was cussing. That
was during my last traffic report. Yeah. Every other word. I had Greg over there pushing buttons. I see sweat pouring off his forehead.
It is very rare that we use the delay for that purpose. My throat, my voice is a little scratchy, still from seasonal allergies, and a couple people had some allergy remedies.
Joe, I recommend going to your doctor and getting a steroid injection and a steroid dose pack. This will provide 2 to 3 weeks of incredible relief. And use Pataday eye drops for the itchy eyes. They work fantastic.
Thank you. I do have some prednisone at the house. I could probably start and that's a steroid. But I don't want to get too bulked up. I'm already very muscular as it is. I got to be careful with the steroids.
Bruce from Orlando.
Bruce.
My pharmacist a couple of years ago, because of allergies, Claritin not working, they suggested a nasal treatment also, and I used Nasacort plus Claritin, and the Nasacort worked great. I find that nasal squirt works well right now, even without the Claritin. But I do try to avoid the drowsiness, so I don't use the other allergy medications.
Yeah, the boss yelled at me yesterday. I said, I got to go to the drugstore to get some allergy medicines. And he's like, don't get anything that's going to make you tired. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm about to blow y'all's mind. I'm about Laurel, Paul, and Greg. I'm about to blow y'all's mind. Listeners, I'm about to blow your mind. Today, April 17th, 2024, the Wall Street Journal headline reads, Americans throw away up to $68 million in coins a year. Can you believe that? We just had that discussion yesterday that I throw away coins, and I think the Wall Street Journal was listening to us, because the day after our conversation that I throw away change, they say $68 million a year is being thrown into the garbage. What kind of ding-dongs throw away coins? Oh, wait. That's
apparently right. Common ding-dongs.
Yes. So get this. And here's the funny thing. I wasn't able to read the whole article because it's behind a paywall. I bet I could afford the paywall if I hadn't thrown away all the change. So it's my own damn fault that I couldn't read the whole article. So I could only read a couple sentences of the article. But it says in 2017, ReWorld started its corporation to recover the millions of dollars worth of coins that are thrown away every year. At a waste management facility in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, workers load incinerated trash into industrial machinery that separates and sorts metals, then sends them to get hosed down. The reward, buckets of quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. They believe that Americans toss out $68 million worth of change a year. That, according to ReWorld. Sustainable Waste Processing Company is on the treasury collected at least $10 million worth of coins. And that's the end of the article because I didn't get past the paywall to read the rest of it. $10 million. Well, wait a minute. Why do they get to keep the $10 million then? Is that something we can bid on? Can we form a partnership between the four of us?
Do we need a class action lawsuit?
And say that, you know what, we're gonna start our own company, and we're gonna go through all the garbage until we find all the coins. And then Laurel, you're in charge of cleaning the money.
Nuh-uh, pregnant. Sorry, there's something in the book about pregnant women can't touch dirty money.
All right. So in our case, laundering money is not illegal. We truly need to launder the money because it's disgusting and gross, and nobody's going to want to touch that money. Is that not the craziest thing ever, though? To have that article come out one day after we had a discussion about throwing away coins? Because someone on our show evidently throws away coins. So silly. I can't believe.
Why don't we have a conversation today about how one of us will win the lottery?
Does one of us play the lottery? Do any of us play the lottery?
You got to play to win, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but no, I don't play the lottery. I don't ever do that. All right, coming up next here. I find this to be so troubling. According to a new poll, 28% of us would commit felony voter fraud to help our candidate get elected. And you know what? You might think, oh, it's all the Democrats, or oh, it's all the Republicans. It is pretty even. Both Democrats and Republicans are willing to commit felony voter fraud to get their candidate elected. You can let us know your thoughts right now on that at 844-580-WDBO, or hit us up in the open mic in the WDBO app. I'm going to unpack all this information for you. Coming up next. Stay right there.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
It's looking pretty good right now through Lake Mary. Just some minor slowing here on I-4 westbound. And then again, as you get into the downtown area from Parr onto the 408, it's your typical traffic patterns in the afternoon. And they are continuing now through the Disney area and Champions Gate, both on I-4 westbound and on I-4 eastbound. We also have, let's see, some delays. It looks like the turnpike is getting a lot busier southbound just after I-4 and then again after the 417. This report sponsored by Penn Fed Credit Union. Mike Julian with Aerobatic Pilot and proud Penn Fed member says Penn Fed has great rates for everyone. Learn more at pennfed.org and come see them at the Orlando Air Show. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Congrats to Laura for winning the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000.
Oh my God.
Download that WDBO app now so you don't miss your next chance of getting on the payroll payout tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Some Volusia County residents can claim victory in their fight against a developer. The Ormond Beach City Commissioner yesterday rejected plans for a project in Tomoka Oaks. Triumph Oaks LLC wanted the city to change the zoning designation to allow low-density single-family homes. The CDC looking into a string of reported illnesses tied to tainted Botox injections found in the Sunshine State. The agency says at least 19 people have gotten sick from counterfeit or mishandled products across 9 states, including Florida. It's believed the affected patients received their injections from unlicensed or untrained cosmetic workers. My husband's had, I guess, a very busy day, and he's tired. And so he says, will you go pick me up a bottle of whiskey so I can have an old-fashioned later tonight? And normally I'd be like, of course, yes. But of course, in my pregnancy brain, I want to be like, you're tired. You're tired. You're going to sit on the couch for the next 2 hours. I won't say that because I love him and I'll go get him his whiskey. But little part of me wants to be like, you don't get to say that to your pregnant wife.
Does he have a preferred whiskey for old fashions?
He will bounce around. I believe lately he's really liked Bird Dog because it's a fair price and it's good whiskey. Yeah, Marie, you'd be saying that. And you know, the thing is, there's not like one on my way, no matter which one I go to, because I'm going to get off of Schofield, right? So I'm either going to have to go up to the Kingsridge Publix or go all the way down to the Walmart near Davenport. And either way, I have to do loop-de-loops and roundabouts. But I love him. He makes me breakfast every morning. So those are the things I have to remember when my pregnancy brain is trying to tell me to be a little mean.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Frank, that's what my husband does. He does, he does the cherries. He doesn't do cherry bitters. He does the actual cherries and then orange bitters. I don't know if he's ever tried cherry bitters. I'll have to ask him.
Too much cherry is a no-go for me. I like the cherry with a little bit of the juice, the Angostura bitters, orange peel.
Shirley Temples all the way.
That's what I get to drink tonight. Woohoo!
You know, it's like, yeah, when you were young, you'd get a Shirley Temple, but the boys would kind of be forced into getting the Roy Rogers, which was Coke and grenadine, not 7-Up and grenadine. Like, I want a Roy Rogers. You don't want a Shirley Temple, Paul. You want a Roy Rogers. No, give me the red colored juice.
I don't want a cherry Coke. I want a.
Yeah, I don't want a cherry Coke.
I want a cherry Sprite.
And, you know, how long will it have to be before a Shirley Temple is like, well, where did that name come from? Who is Shirley Temple? You know, it's probably already at that stage, but how long is that drink going to be called a Shirley Temple before it's called a Taylor Swift?
I'm sure if I ask my 15-year-old...
Can you give me a Swifty, please?
who Shirley Temple is, she'd have no idea who Shirley Temple is.
No, not at all. Should be renamed to a Swiftie. It's my campaign. I'm running on that campaign pledge. I will change those names to Swifties now.
You might win. You just might win.
Going for that young crowd, you know.
Like a wine cooler.
It wouldn't be a wine cooler, Frank. It would be a seltzer.
A Swiftie? Yeah, you're right.
But speaking of seltzers, when we were in DC, I had a Topo Chico, strawberry, and I think guava flavored one. Oh my goodness. I will be drinking those all summer. It was delicious.
Traffic. All the things you want on your drive home. Plus, Joe Kelley being, well, Joe Kelley. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Speaking about country music, have you guys heard Post Malone? Now, for those who don't know Post Malone, he's an artist. What is he? A rapper?
Yeah, rap, hip hop. Yeah.
Yeah. So evidently he was just warming up or something, and he started playing "Friends in Low Places" by Garth Brooks, and Garth Brooks heard it and said, "Man, this guy's awesome. Listen to this version of "Friends in Low Places" by Post Malone."
Think I slip on down to the OS, so I've got friends in low places.
That guy's got talent, man. That guy's got real talent. By the way, have you seen Roadhouse, the movie Roadhouse on Prime Video? Post Malone is in that movie. He plays one of the fighters early on in the movie. Shirtless with all of us. That guy's got tattoos. Remember when you were like in elementary school or middle school and you'd scribble on your desk? That's what Post Malone's face looks like. And I mean, the guy's got immense talent. The guy's so talented.
Tattoos on his tattoos.
He just is just got the randomest tattoos, and it's all over his face, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And I'm not anti-tattoo. I'm pro-tattoo. I think we should all have tattoos. I don't have any, but I think everybody else should have tattoos. So a breathtaking poll from Rasmussen, 28% of likely voters would be willing to engage in illegal voting activity if it would help their preferred candidate win the 2024 presidential election. So nearly a third, more than a quarter. And there is little variation among voters of different candidates. 27% of Joe Biden voters say they're willing to cheat for their candidate. 29% of Donald Trump voters say they'll commit voter fraud. 25% of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. voters say they're willing to commit voter fraud. This is crazy. Whatever happened to integrity? Whatever happened to honesty? Whatever happened to doing the right thing? And I know it's aggravating when your candidate doesn't win. And I know it's aggravating when your candidate doesn't win and you think an election has been stolen. Or when your candidate doesn't win and that candidate blames a stolen election. I know that's frustrating. I get it. But to think that nearly a third of us, of American voters, are willing to commit felony voter fraud, such as voting in 2 states or marking someone else's ballot without them knowing about it. These are some of the examples that people say they're willing to do for their candidate. I think that's nuts. What do you think? 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, From the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Through downtown, we're still seeing some delays I-4 westbound and eastbound in the usual suspect areas. 408 eastbound also affected. You're on and off the brakes all the way through to just past 436. I-4 westbound is also heavy, Sand Lake to 535, and it looks like from Osceola Parkway through Champions Gate. Seeing some delays also on the Turnpike northbound as you pass the 408 to 429 and then up into Lake County. Save money at Refresh Computers, Central Florida's budget computer store. Visit refreshcomputers.net or call 407-478-8200 for the latest details. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Good evening, 6:01 here at WDBO. Your next chance to win the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000 is happening tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Just listen for that payroll payout keyword and you could get paid just for listening to WDBO. Our top story, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas acquitted of both articles of impeachment today in what was a one-day Senate trial. House Republicans impeached Mayorkas because they say he failed to secure the southern border, but Democrats called the impeachment a political stunt and vowed to make quick work of it.
On this vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 49. The point of order is well taken. Article 2 falls.
A guilty plea for a U.S. Army financial counselor for stealing from Gold Star families.
The Department of Justice says 41-year-old Kaz Craffey of Colts Neck, New Jersey, has pled guilty in federal court to multiple counts, including wire fraud and securities fraud, and making false statements for stealing from families of fallen American service members. In his role as an Army financial counselor, that between 2018 and 2022, he obtained almost $10 million in survivor benefits to invest in failing accounts that he managed that also paid Craffey $1.4 million in commissions. He faces decades in prison when he's sentenced in August. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Wekiva Island for Pints and Politics, hosted by Eric Erickson. The event is free and open to everyone. Tap the Pints and Politics button in the WDBO app for event details. 6:02 here at WDBO. No, Marie, I haven't had the chance yet. This Saturday, I was at the station from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. I was here for 11 hours. So I didn't get a chance to go anywhere but the radio station on Saturday. Hopefully maybe not this. I'll have to make it a chance to go. We're trying to figure out venues to hold my baby shower. And so we think we found a place, but they said you got to come in the morning to see it if you want to see it because we've got other stuff. So I think I have to do that Saturday, but hopefully soon I'll get to go because I really want to go. It sounds delicious.
Conditions overnight. Just be advised areas of smoke and fog will be possible on some of the roadways. That includes late tonight and tomorrow morning. There's a lot of prescribed burning going on locally. Then for tomorrow, it's hot, 90, a lot of sunshine. We'll have the winds again out of the southeast. A little breezy, but not terribly windy in the afternoon. 91 on Friday, still dry, a lot of sunshine. Then Saturday, 93 degrees, our hottest weather since last September, near records in some areas. Should be a dry day. Sunday, 92, a slight chance of a shower, a few scattered showers, mid-80s next Monday. From Channel 9 Eyewitness News, I'm meteorologist George Waldenberger.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Traffic starting to get a little bit lighter right now. Just a minor slowdown on I-4 westbound through Lake Mary and into downtown, starting just about at par and headed to the 408 eastbound. Sand Lake to 535, still very busy, and then Osceola Parkway through Champions Gate. Eastbound is busy past the Disney area and into downtown from Cayley to Amelia. Save money at Refresh Computers, Central Florida's budget computer store. Visit refreshcomputers.net or call 407-478-8200 for the latest details. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Frost.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. From the jazz age to the information age, WDBO has been there. Join us in saluting a century of broadcasting excellence. Happy 100th WDBO, the soundtrack to Orlando's history.
You know, both Biden and Trump have said that the other side is trying to steal this election. And if both sides are saying that the other side is trying to steal this election, then I think that's how we get to 28% of American voters saying that they would commit voter fraud to support their candidate. If you're just joining us here on the Joe Kelley Show, we're unpacking this new Rasmussen poll that indicates that nearly a third, so more than a quarter, nearly a third of likely voters would be willing to engage in illegal voting activity if it would help their preferred candidate win the 2024 presidential election. Now, you might be thinking, oh, it's just Trump voters, or, oh, that's just Biden voters. It is pretty well divided. There's little variation among voters of different categories. 27% of Biden voters say they would cheat for Biden. 29% of Trump voters say they would cheat for Trump, and 25% of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s voters say they would cheat for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This guy didn't have a shot of winning. You would be committing a felony that could not possibly get him enough votes to even win.
I was going to say those supporters need to be a little bit more bold if they want him to win.
Yeah, you're going to have to do so much more cheating if you want to get RFK to win. Now, the poll even breaks down as to which ways people would be willing to cheat. And some of those ways are the following. If their spouse or another trusted family member allowed them to fill out and sign their mail-in ballot, they would do it. They would fill out and sign a mail-in ballot on behalf of a coworker or friendly acquaintance, or would do so on behalf of a close friend. If given the opportunity, they would alter the candidate selections made in a mail-in ballot belonging to a friend or a family member without their knowledge. I mean, imagine like if your mother, who is potentially in a home, your mother gives you her ballot and says, mail this in for me, and she doesn't vote the way that you think she should vote, then you'd go along and change your mother's vote before you mail it in. That's what they're saying here. Some say they would vote in 2 different states to help their candidates win. Let me tell you, there is probably not a state more troublesome for that than Florida. because of our snowbird population. A lot of our snowbirds are registered to vote in 2 states. They're registered in Florida and they're registered in another state, the state that they go home to in the summertime. So 10% say they would vote in 2 different states to help their candidate win. Some would also offer to pay another voter for their vote. Can you even imagine? Hey man, I'll give you $20 if you vote for Biden. I'll give you $20 if you vote for Donald Trump. 10% say they would give another voter misleading information about the time and place of the election if that would help their candidate win. Oh yes, all Republicans vote on November 5th, but Democrats vote on November 6th. That goes around every year or every election year. That particular yarn goes around. I am appalled by these results. And if these are people who are willing to admit that they would cheat, think about all the people that wouldn't admit that they would cheat. I feel like in real life, these numbers are significantly higher, probably twice as high, double as high. Because most people aren't going to admit that they're willing to break the law, to commit felonies for their presidential candidate. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Greg, the engineers are in there with measuring tape. What exactly are they doing? What are they measuring for? I need to know what are they installing? What are they putting in?
That's a great question. I'm only a seat filler at this meeting. So
you don't know what they're measuring tape for?
They're measuring the desk. I know that.
All right. I just would like to find out what they're measuring. If we're going to get something cool, if they're going to add something, if they could add like a popcorn machine or a snow cone machine, could you tell them that we want a snow cone machine or a popcorn machine or something like that in the studio? That would be really nice. All right.
Only cotton candy. That's all they've got.
Oh, well, cotton candy. We'll take that. 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app.
Joe, the 23 and 25% of voters on both sides that will commit fraud, that's the percentage of voters on both sides that believe the other side, if elected, will lead us to certain death or will do terrible things to ruin the status of this country for our kids. And so that's why they're willing to cheat.
You may well be right. You're probably right. But it doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it better. It's still wrong.
Really sad about the voter fraud statistics, but I guess that's how brainwashed the left is and how desperate not to lose America the right is. Still sad.
Well, all right. Let me just throw this out there that a Democrat would look at it in the opposite way. I mean, it is. The Democrats think that Donald Trump is going to ruin America and Joe Biden is the only hope.
That's the exact rhetoric that the previous caller was talking about.
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. I get where you're coming from. But to me, that nothing justifies. First of all, I am at heart a rule follower. I follow the rules. I'm aware of a rule. I follow the rules. And I'm not going to commit a felony for anybody, for any political. I don't trust any of the political candidates. I don't like any of the candidates. You guys think I'm anti-Trump? I'm not anti-Trump. I'm anti every elected official. I think all of them should constantly have their feet held to the fire. Constantly. They're always out to manipulate us. I don't trust any of them. Paul Cross.
I was just going to ask, do you think maybe if they did this poll 10 years ago, it would not show as strong as it is today?
I do.
Because I don't know about all this election integrity just really came out, 2015, 2016. That's when it really started to be a top issue in America.
Well, I think the division started with Gore v. Bush, with the hanging chads down in South Florida. I think that was the beginning of our division in America. And since that time, we have been evenly divided 50-50 against one another. After the Cold War, we lost our common enemy. We had a common enemy in Osama bin Laden for a little while after 9/11. But now we don't have a common enemy anymore, and we turn on each other. Wouldn't it be great to have a common enemy other than our neighbors? By the way, do you guys watch Reacher on Amazon Prime? I will tell you, a guilty pleasure of mine is the Jack Reacher movies with Tom Cruise. I thought Tom Cruise was a great Jack Reacher. The Reacher series on Amazon Prime, I hate him. I watched the first season begrudgingly. I watched like 2 episodes of the second season and I just completely gave up. But Alan, who is the muscly, steroidy star of Reacher, is either a terrible actor or there's terrible writing. And I'm not sure which it is, terrible directing or something. But it's just terrible. And his character comes off, frankly, to me, as autistic. Because he can't maintain personal relationships. He can't have personal conversations. So to me, he's autistic. He's on the scale somewhere, and not just a guy who wants to be left alone, which was the Tom Cruise character. Anyhow, I didn't bring it up to criticize his acting. I brought it up because this guy, Alan Ritchson, is really full of himself and has gone on the attack against both Donald Trump and cops. So he has made disparaging comments about Donald Trump, worse. And you would think people would learn. He's not making disparaging comments about Donald Trump. He's making disparaging comments about Donald Trump's supporters. And I don't know when people are going to learn that all you do is alienate people when you do that. So there was a picture of Alan Ritchson wearing a T-shirt that read, "Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor." And he went on a podcast or in an interview and he said, cops get away with murder all the time. And the fact that we really can't hold them accountable for their improprieties is really disturbing to me. We should completely reform the way that we do it. I mean, you shouldn't have to spend more time getting an education as a hairstylist than as a cop who's armed with a deadly weapon. Then the National Fraternal Order of the Police got involved, and they posted to their Instagram page that Alan Ritchson is a useless Hollywood actor who's virtue signaling for attention at the expense of brave police officers. Then Alan Ritchson fired back, calling it a concerning display of emotional immaturity that the Fraternal Order of Police would respond to his anti-police comments. He says, Ritchson says, this kind of emotionally immature response is the epitome of what concerns me about law enforcement today. If this is how leadership handles a peaceful disagreement, then what does life look like for those unseen interactions in the street? How does this shape the character of those police officers looking to management? Do we really want individuals so easily angered and bullied like school children to have a gun and the protection of an untouchable union? And he goes on and on and on and on. And then about Donald Trump, he did an interview with a Hollywood reporter, and he started blasting Christians. Christians today have become the most vitriolic tribe. He identifies himself as a follower of Jesus, and he says it is so antithetical to what Jesus was calling us to be and to do. Trump is a rapist and a con man. These are the words of Alan Ritchson. Trump is a rapist and a con man, and yet the entire Christian church seems to treat him like he's their poster child, and it's unreal. I don't understand it. I would just like to be on the record as saying I didn't like this guy before. I don't like him anymore now, that's for sure. But I didn't like him before, and I've already I can't boycott Reacher because I've already stopped watching it. It sucks. The show sucks, and Alan Ritchson sucks. in that role. And because of the popularity of Reacher on Amazon Prime, Tom Cruise has said he won't do any more Reacher movies. So that was a guilty pleasure of mine. I like the 2 Reacher movies with Tom Cruise. All right, you can tell me your thoughts. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. Use the open mic in the WDBO app.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
We got a crash on the Turnpike southbound after the 417. It's taken up part of the left lane, and that's what's causing the buildup of traffic there. Still seeing a little bit of delays on I-4 through downtown, westbound and eastbound, but not as bad as it was just a few minutes ago. On Sand Lake, let's see, this is I-4 westbound Sand Lake to 535. It's still heavy there. And then from 192 into Champions Gate. This report sponsored by Cracker Barrel. It pays to be early because at Cracker Barrel, you can get early dinner deals on their signature dishes. Weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. starting at just $8.99. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Now, the 3 big things you need to know. Powered by
The Anaheim, California City Council is approving a nearly $2 billion Disneyland expansion project. Disney wants to expand the park's footprint, adding more rides, restaurants, shops, and other attractions. Many of the new amenities would be built in what is currently a parking lot. There will be a couple new faces in local government in Orange County. Craig Russell was elected yesterday to the City Commission in Winter Park, and Ileana Ramos-Jones was elected to City Commission in Winter Garden. Both runoff elections were close. One. Students and staff at an Orange County High School are safe after a fire broke out early this morning. The district says the incident happened in one of the restrooms at Ocoee High. Everyone in the building was evacuated without any reported injuries. Fire marshal and police trying to figure out what caused that fire.
So the NBA released the playoff schedules for the first round just today. And the Magic, we already knew that they're going to play on the 20th, but now we know Game 2 will take place on the 22nd at 7 o'clock. Game 3 will be here in Orlando. That's a Thursday, April 25th. That'll also be at 7 o'clock. Game 4 is April 27th at 1 p.m. here in Orlando. And then the rest are, if necessary, depending on how the series goes. But all of these games end up being on ESPN, NBA TV, or TNT, except for us in the Central Florida area, because Bally Sports has the rights to their first-round matchups and will black out the games in the Central Florida area. Very disappointed. I don't have Bally. I have TNT. It's so frustrating that these kinds of rules still apply even going into the playoffs. I'm very anti-regional sports networks as it is. This makes it even worse for me. Oh, I will be at the 2 games here in Orlando. I have the press credentials for WDBO. You guys will be able to follow along with me on Instagram and Facebook, as I'll be posting live from the arena during the games, pre-game, mid-game at the half, and post-game. So follow along with that. I've got to figure out how I get out of here before 7 o'clock.
In the WDBO app and let Joe know what interests you. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Hi, Joe. The whole cheating thing just drives me crazy. Either everyone follows the rules or everybody cheats. And if everybody cheats, then you have chaos. So everyone just needs to follow the rules in all aspects of life.
Yes. You know, I had a boss some years ago, and he taught me a lesson once. There was one sentence. I learned one sentence, one thing from this boss. I really like the guy, but he said to me, Joe, if you even have to think twice about something, then you know it's wrong. And that has always, absolutely always stuck with me. And if you live by absolutes, if you live by real truth, not my truth and your truth, if you live by absolutes and real truth, life is so simple. People make life so much harder than it has to be because people are inclined to cheat. They're inclined to fudge. We just wrapped up our tax season. Oh, well, the government's charging me too much anyway, so I'm just going to claim some extra deductions here and there, and I'm going to not report this income, and I got this cash under the table. I'm going to stick it to the government anyway. And it's just, life is so easy when you adhere to the rules. And I know I sound, I'm sure to some of you, like a simpleton. Or I except for that one time that I just barely ran that stop sign. That is so aggravating to me, that I got a ticket for that. I mean, y'all, I'm telling you, I came so close to a complete stop at that stop sign, but I still got a ticket for that. Do you know it still has not been resolved? I sent it off, like somebody had suggested using Ticket Clinic. So I sent it off to Ticket Clinic, and I know that they set a court date, but I have no idea when it is. And I know nothing about it. So it's frustrating for me. 16-year-old boy suspended from high school for using the words illegal alien in class. Christian McGee is the kid's name. He's a student at Central Davidson High School in Lexington, North Carolina, suspended for 3 days, punished for using the term illegal alien during a vocabulary assignment in his English class. Now, illegal alien is the correct term for a foreign national who has entered the country illegally. It is used in all of our U.S. legal documents and legislation. The student's mom says her son's teacher assigned vocabulary words during the class last Tuesday. The assignment included the word alien. The mom says that her son made an effort to understand the assignment and responded to his teacher asking, like space aliens or illegal aliens without green cards? That's it. That was his question. And that got him suspended for 3 days. Evidently, a young man in the class, that would be a student, took offense to his question and reportedly threatened to fight him. A confrontation prompted the teacher to call in the assistant principal. Ultimately, his question, was deemed by administrative staff to be offensive and disrespectful to classmates who are Hispanic. Well, that's racist. That's racist to suggest that illegal aliens are all Hispanic. Frankly, we've seen more Chinese in recent days coming across the border. The student, in response to his suspension, said, "I didn't make a statement directed towards anybody. I simply asked a question. I wasn't speaking of Hispanics because everyone," oh, look, this makes my point. He says, "I wasn't speaking of Hispanics because everyone from other countries need green cards, and the term illegal alien is the actual term that I hear on the news and can find in the dictionary." The immigration status of the Hispanic student is unclear. In addition to a 3-day suspension, his record could be damaged as he aims to secure an athletic college scholarship. He's active in school clubs, track, and cross country. What do you guys think? 844-580-WDBO or use the open mic in the WDBO app.
This is WDBO.
WDBO.
107.3 FM and AM 580. Orlando's news and talk. And where Orlando turns first for breaking news, weather, and traffic.
Good evening, 6:30 here at WDBO. Your next chance to win the WDBO payroll payout of $1,000 happens tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Just listen for that payroll payout keyword, and you could get paid just for listening to WDBO. Our top story, the Senate has voted to toss out the impeachment charges levied by the House against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas.
Democrats voting as a bloc, the Senate deemed the articles of impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas unconstitutional, saying the charges didn't meet the definition of high crimes and misdemeanors. It was a move that upset Republicans who wanted to hold a full trial on charges that Mayorkas has failed to enforce immigration law. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
History will not judge this moment well.
Mayorkas was the first cabinet member to be impeached by the House since 1876. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
A growing federal investigation spanning multiple states over fake Botox.
The CDC, the FDA, and local health officials jointly investigating counterfeit Botox injections. As of April 15th, 19 people across 9 states have become ill with 9 hospitalizations. Federal health officials say vials of the fake products appear to have been purchased from unlicensed sources, with the likelihood they were misbranded, tampered, contaminated, and are otherwise ineffective and unsafe. Patients are reminded to only get FDA-approved Botox injections from licensed and trained medical professionals in legitimate healthcare settings. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Wakamba Island for Pints and Politics, hosted by Eric Erickson. The event is free and open to everyone. Tap that Pints and Politics button in the WDBO app for event details. 6:32 here at WDBO.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell in that story too, Marie. Just the students claiming that he wasn't being a smart aleck about asking the question, but you know how 16-year-olds can be. And how much do we trust the judgment of our teachers and administrators and things like that to do an appropriate investigation into that? And you hear stories of either people are overstepping and taking too much charge of their kids' lives and not trusting administrators, or they need to go the other way. So it's we have a balancing act we have to perform with that. I remember when I was in high school, I was a bit of a smart aleck. Yeah, Karen. And again, maybe this is a trend with this kid that he's done something like this in the past, and they've given him that warning. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know enough of the details of the story, but yeah, no, just based off of face value, you would think that would be the first step to at least say like, hey, chill out a little bit. But if it is the question, how I don't see how it would be a relevant question if he's not trying to be a smart aleck, because it doesn't affect the meaning of the term or the spelling of the word either. So I don't know.
Now, from the Bogan Munz and Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz and Munz.
Got a crash on Alafaya Trail at Renaissance. We also have a collision on Millennia Boulevard at Power Center Lane. And that crash on the Turnpike southbound looks like multiple vehicles involved in this. Just past the 417. It's on the left shoulder, but it is still blocking part of that left lane as well. This report sponsored by Summit Racing Equipment. Revive your ride at summitracing.com. Use promo code RADIO for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Exclusions apply. Offer ends 5/5/24. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. For 100 years, we've been your voice, your source, your heartbeat. From the roaring 20s to the digital age, we've been there for it all. Happy 100th anniversary, WDBO, where history and headlines meet.
Very excited about tomorrow. I hope you'll join us tomorrow as we're going to have Pints and Politics with Eric Erickson. That'll be tomorrow at 6 o'clock at Wekiva Island. If you've never been to Wekiva Island before, it is a lot of fun. They've got a restaurant, they've got food, they've got drinks, they've got a full bar, they have beer and wine, they have really the most beautiful spring-fed, is it a river? Call it a river, a canal. The water is crystal clear.
It's the Wekiva River.
It's the Wekiva River, and it's beautiful. And
you can canoe, and you can kayak, and you can do all kinds of things there at the island. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it really is. And I've been multiple times and have always enjoyed it. and I'm confident that you guys will enjoy it as well. And it's completely free. Look, and it starts at 6. So if you get off work at 5, just make plans to come visit with us. Just type Wekiva Island into your GPS, whether you use Waze or Google Maps or the Apple Maps or whatever it is. Just type Wekiva Island. And it's going to look weird because it'll look like you're driving into a residential neighborhood. If you've never been before, you're thinking, well, this can't be right. I'm driving into someone's neighborhood. If that's what it looks like when you drive into Wekiva Island, is you're going to go down a residential looking street and you're going to go right by a bunch of houses. But that's the right place. And it's free. It's free to park. It's free to get in. There's no big gate or anything. It's not like we're going to take tickets at the gate. There is no gate. It is part of the Wekiva River. And the weather is going to be beautiful tomorrow at about this time. It's going to be pretty much the same. Hopefully less smoke. Hopefully less smoke. We can't guarantee it. I guess we could put a call into the Florida Forestry Division and ask them if they could chill it with the damn smoke tomorrow. We have an outdoor event and we don't want to be smoked out. But we'll see. We'll see if they'll do that for us or not. So anyhow, join us. If you want to find out details, tap the Pints and Politics button in the WDBO app, and it will be Joe on the go. As we've checked with my parole officer, and I am allowed to go there and broadcast from there tomorrow. So I'm very excited about that. And I'll be doing this show right here, the Joe Kelley Show, live on location, or as we call it in the biz, LOL, live on location. That's whenever I see LOL somewhere, I'm like, "Ooh, it's live on location." No, that's not what they mean. It's someone else.
You know what? If you're going to go out there tomorrow night, bring Joe a coin. Any coin.
No.
United States coin, Canadian coin.
I'll throw it in the river.
Bahamian coin.
I will throw it away. I don't want coins. That's not going to happen. So, so look for me. I'll be the tall, skinny guy. I will always be the tall, skinny guy in pretty much any setting. Look for me. I'm Twig Man, Slender Man. Just look for me and great hair, but slender. And I look forward to meeting you. I'd love to shake your hand. I'd love to personally tell you thanks for listening to WDBO. I think that would be an absolute gas. Did you guys happen to see some of the pictures or video from Dubai and how much rain they got in Dubai?
Yeah.
This is crazy. In the United Arab Emirates, they got in one day 2 years worth of rain. And I love that so many people in Dubai drive like Lamborghinis and Maseratis and Bugattis and all these other gazillion-dollar cars. And evidently, they've never seen rain before. They've never seen flooded streets before because they're driving their Lamborghinis right into the flooded streets. And I'm thinking, you guys don't understand. Those aren't submarines. That is going to be problematic. You have just destroyed your car. But of course, for them, they might just go out and buy a new Lamborghini. I don't know. I don't know how money works in Dubai, but it seems like they're flush with money there. But here's what I found interesting. Did you know that in Dubai and the United Arab Emirates, they mess with the weather? They do cloud seeding there. So this may be their own fault. This is not just a meteorological issue. It's not some sort of strange weather anomaly that they got 2 years worth of rain in one day. They think cloud seeding may have played a role in the flash floods. I always thought cloud seeding was like a hoax, a myth, that it didn't really work. But evidently it does. And it's not just in Dubai where they do cloud seeding. They've done it in California and some other places, evidently. But to address the water scarcity in a typically dry country, the United Arab Emirates started using a practice referred to as cloud seeding in the 90s and early 2000s. It's a method designed to increase the amount of water that falls from a cloud. It involves identifying suitable clouds and then using aircraft or ground-based generators to introduce a chemical agent that facilitates the production of snowflakes. Cloud seeding has been used in countries worldwide, Western United States, dealing with drought, like I said, California, Colorado, Nevada, Idaho, Texas. A specialist meteorologist, Ahmed Habib, told Bloomberg that UAE's cloud seeding operations contributed directly to the heavy rainfall that fell this week. Habib told the outlet that 2 planes conducted cloud seeding operations on Monday and Tuesday, and that 7 seeding missions have been carried out in 2 days. Flight tracking data analyzed by the Associated Press suggested that an aircraft affiliated with the United Arab Emirates cloud seeding project flew around the country on Sunday, and the flood happened on Tuesday. So, yeah, it sounds like it's their own fault. They overseeded the clouds, it would seem. So when I saw it, I thought, wow, what a weird meteorological anomaly that they got so much rain there in Dubai. But evidently, someone leaned a little too hard on the cloud seeding, if you know what I mean. You guys remember Weekend at Bernie's? Weekend at Bernie's, when the guy, Bernie, died and the 2 other guys carried his dead body around everywhere because they didn't want anybody to know that he died.
The 80s were a wild time.
I honestly don't really remember the plot of Weekend at Bernie's. It's been a while. Wasn't there like a sequel? Didn't they do Weekend at Bernie's 2 and maybe even 3? I think there was a sequel. Well, anyhow, in Brazil, a woman was arrested in Brazil Tuesday night. She used a wheelchair and brought a dead man into a bank in an attempt to get a loan. She brought this guy in a wheelchair. He was 68 years old. He had been dead for several hours. The circumstances of his death are not entirely clear. You know, you can't just get a dead body. I don't know, maybe in Brazil you can, but generally you can't just get a dead body, you know? So this guy died, and this woman brings him in a wheelchair and says, "Uncle, are you listening? You need to sign." And she's clearly holding his head up with her left hand while trying to put a pen in his right hand so he can co-sign a loan that she
The video
wanted.
is disturbing.
It is disturbing. And in fact, I generally post videos. I'm not posting that one. It's gross. It is troubling. It is disturbing. It's a dead body, for Pete's sake. All right, it's Joe Kelley here. Join us tomorrow night. It's Pints and Politics with Eric Erickson at Wekiva Island. I'll be there from 5 till 7, and the event begins at 6.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
It's cleared out nicely here, I-4 westbound through Lake Mary and downtown. We're up to speed, incident-free. We do have some brake lights, though, from Sand Lake to 535 and now 192 to 429. Still working that wreck. Multiple vehicles involved on the Turnpike southbound after the 417. However, everything's on the left shoulder. That far left lane is back open. ProTech, air conditioning and plumbing for honesty, integrity, and 100% customer satisfaction. Call ProTech, 407-502-6263, or visit ProTechAC.com. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Now, the 3 big things you need to know. Powered by Hard Rock Bet.
3. The vampire horror film Abigail is expected to get off to a fast start at the box office. The movie about the daughter of Dracula is projected to make between $12 and $15 million in its first weekend in theaters. 2. An Orange County town is trying to be the home of Florida's Black History Museum. Eatonville officials gave an update yesterday saying their proposal is currently the second choice out of 8 potential locations. Other top contenders are St. Johns County and Sarasota. 1. Salvage crews doing some heavy lifting as they continue to work to clear that wreckage of the Baltimore's collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge and open a 3rd temporary shipping channel by month's end. Maryland Governor Wes Moore says crews have already removed 1,100 tons of steel from the water.
Now, you see, I thought that new Abigail movie was about the doll. I didn't know it was the daughter of Dracula. That's interesting. I thought it was another about that doll again.
I only knew because if you watch the preview, she becomes a vampire. They show that part. I'm going to go see it because Giancarlo Esposito's in it. I don't normally do horror films just because either they're lame or I'm a big baby, so it's one or the other. But with Giancarlo, he's great in everything he does, so I think I'll go see that one.
And you see, and I'm saying Abigail, but it's Annabelle for the doll.
Could have fooled me. I thought it was Abigail too.
There we go. Foolish. Just read the chat. You'll get the gist of it, Mark. Jude and Mark here at the last minute.
Is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio. And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
All right, again, we're going to be out at Wekiva Island tomorrow. I'll be out there from 5 till 7. The Eric Erickson segment begins at 6 o'clock.
I am so excited you guys are going to be in my backyard. I had my wedding up at the island. I thoroughly enjoy that spot. And now with you and Eric Erickson being there, man, it can't get any better than that.
Honestly, I might go a little early just to get some kayaking in, some canoeing or kayaking in. If you don't know, they've got rentals out there that you can rent for a reasonable price. I don't remember what the price is. More than the change you have in your pocket, but less than a lot of money. But you can rent kayaks and canoes out there, and people swim in the river all the time. And you know, there are alligators in the river, which always is a little concerning to me. I think of that woman, that poor woman. Remember that a few years ago when she lost her arm in the Wekiva River? It's kind of her fault. You know, you have a few drinks, you start to loosen up a little bit, and she knew there was an alligator there, and I think she wanted to go over and pet it or something, and next thing you know, she's missing an arm.
That's the big rule. Don't pet the alligator. So
yeah.
long as you don't do that, you should be fine.
This is the time of year that the alligators are out, by the way, as things start to warm up. I have been seeing a lot more alligators laying on the banks of the local ponds and bodies of water out sunning themselves. They're cold-blooded animals, so they like to warm up out in the nice, warm Florida sun. But there are gators, to be sure, in the Wekiva River.
Yeah, no, we were just there this last weekend, and it was beautiful. And we actually had a chance. It was a friend of mine's birthday, and we rented one of the cabanas that they have available.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we had the cabana right there near the food trucks that they have out there, and we just enjoyed our afternoon. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's a fun place to go. If you have never been, if you're new to Orlando, if you're like one of the mazillions of people that are new to Orlando, then you might want to go, forget about Eric Erickson. Just go to Wekiva Island with us tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Hold on, I learned a new word.
Mazillion?
Mazillions.
Yes.
Hang on, I'm gonna write that one down for my vocabulary calendar. Mazillions. Nice.
So I see now that just a breaking news story that just came across. The illegal immigrant that's accused of killing Laken Riley was paroled illegally. That according to Department of Homeland Security records. So I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the days ahead. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow out at Wekiva Island. If you want details, just tap the Pints and Politics button in the WDBO app, and we'll see you out there as we broadcast live tomorrow. It's the Joe Kelley Show. Joe on the go.
Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Well, we've got an unscheduled meet and greet here, I-4 westbound, right before World Drive. The off-ramp right lane is blocked, and so you're going to find some brake lights there. Still seeing a mazillion red brake lights, too, between 192 and Champions Gate. And then we have on the eastbound side, I-4 is locked up here just after OBT. You're going to be on and off the brakes through downtown. This report sponsored by Positive Coaching Alliance. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
Well, I sure do hope that we'll get to see some of you guys in the chat group out there tomorrow at Wekiva Island. And if you do come out, please, please, please take a moment to come say hi to me. I would love to say hi to you. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Laurel. And y'all have a great night. And we'll see you back here on the radio tomorrow.